We traveled to South Texas to meet up with my good friend Mark to find an absolute monster for you guys. This is an alligator gar. Alligator gar is considered one of the world's hardest fish to fillet. Today, we're gonna take you on the journey of cleaning and cooking one. Like arapaima, the armor on these fish is absolutely legendary. I just chipped the tip of this knife. All right, so now that you've seen how strong the scales are in these fish, we're gonna show you how to easily get into them. So we don't wanna try to cut through these scales because you've already seen that that is next to impossible. We're gonna lift up on this armor and puncture right there. And we're gonna slide up, and it's actually easy to cut through them when you go underneath the scales instead of trying to cut through the scales. Slide your tin snips right underneath. And do you hear that? These are for cutting through steel. The armor on these fish is absolutely insane. Now after you have that good starting point, you're gonna take your snips, push them in, and snap through. We're gonna do this all the way down the back of the fish. Even with tin snips, it is not easy to cut through these scales. You gotta give a little bit of force to it, but just take your time and run your way down the back. This skin is even harder to cut through than an arapaima. We're gonna cut away at the skin a little bit. We're gonna make sure we're cutting into that armor and not into the flesh. And this skin right here is really rough, so be careful while cleaning it. You can see a piece of my glove right there. Most people watching this video can easily use tin snips, whereas, it takes a little bit of skill to know how to use a cleaver properly without hurting yourself. So tin snips is going to be the safest and easiest way to go down the back of an alligator gar. We're using just a tip of our bent knife and running it down that skin. Make sure that we have a little bit of leverage as we're going down with our snips. Going down the back is honestly the hardest part of the entire process. Once you get down the back, filleting them off the skin is pretty easy because you can put so much pressure onto the skin of this fish without cutting through it. With your outline, it just makes the process super smooth. Now there's a lot of cartilage right around the top of this fin, so we're gonna come to the side a little bit because it's gonna be really hard to cut through the top, but if you come down and through the side, it's gonna be a lot easier to cut through, just like that. Now that we've got a nice opening and we even worked our way down a little bit while we were doing it, we got ourselves a good starting point with filleting this fish. Now we're gonna use a nice 6-inch curved knife because it's going to be really smooth with cutting this fish off the skin. And you can have the knife angled all the way into the skin. Often when you're skinning fish, if your knife is angled into the skin too much, you cut right through the skin. Not on these bad boys. If you have a knife that can cut through the skin easily, send me a link because I want one. What we're doing is we're working this side all the way down to the belly. Once we get down to the belly, we're gonna flip over and now go to the other side, repeating that process. Rest your knife down, angled slightly towards the skin, and just push forward. Now here is the hard bony part that I was telling you about that's connected to this fin. We're just gonna go down from that cartilage. You can see the different texture of the meat. Right here is the line where the texture changes going into that loin. We're gonna hit it right at that spot. We can use our snips to cut right through that bone pretty easily. And snap. Just like that, we cut straight through the bone, connected to the center spine, right underneath that fin. Now that we cut through that bone, your knife can go straight through down to the skin with ease. Nice, long motions. Angling your knife towards the skin, letting that skin guide your knife. That way you make sure you don't lose out on any of that absolutely delicious alligator gar meat. Now we're gonna take this opening right here and slide down with our snips. It's a little softer on the outside here, so it's actually pretty easy to snip through relative to the back of the fish. All right, now that you can lay that flat, we're gonna keep working our way down. Now we're gonna lift up on the scale here, puncture right underneath there, and we're going to fully outline the head of this fish. After laying on that one side, it's got a lot of his slime that just rolled to that one side, so we're just gonna hose off some of this slime before we open them up. These things are like barrel fish or gag grouper, just coated in that protective layer of slime. All right, we've got the opening right here and right here. We're going to meet those two spots into the middle just by snipping through, just like that, and there we go. Now we're gonna cut underneath those fins down behind the head, just like this. Pull while you cut, and that meat will just fall right away. Now we're going to work our way down to the bone, And now we have the throat completely separated. Now we're gonna roll them back over. All right, now that you cut all the way around the head, we're gonna put the head over the edge, push down. It's gonna snap just like that, pull back. Now we're gonna be able to twist this. The only thing still holding on to it is a little bit of tendon muscle. There we go. All right, now that we got the head out of the way, we're gonna be able to go all the way on the bottom of our fish. Roll them over just like this, pull away from the skin, and just keep working your way down. We're gonna be able to take this entire skin off just like that. Right here is its fin. You're gonna need to work your way around that fin a little bit, and then it'll pop right off. We're gonna go on the other side of that fin, outline it a little bit. You got the loin right here. You see this line? This line is separating the belly meat, and we want it all. And then here's that fin on the other side. Again, we wanna work all the way around it, just like that. Keep rolling, going around that fin. You see these two bones right here are those pelvic fins. And then after we get around those, all that's left is this anal fin right here. And then we're just gonna pull the skin away just like that. And now it's only connected by this anal fin right here. Squeeze your snips right in.
Holy smokes, check this skin out. Who needs a new pair of boots?
Up next, we're gonna run down this line, separating the two belly portions. We don't want our knife deep because we don't wanna puncture the organ meat. We wanna take the organ meat out nice and clean, just like that. And this dark spot right here is the kidney. The kidney is this blood that runs along the top of the ribs there. We're cutting it right at the base. That way, we keep it nice and clean. Don't want that organ meat spilling all over our fish. So cutting it like this prevents all of the fluids from spilling out. The eggs on these fish are toxic to humans. You absolutely do not want to eat alligator gar or any other gar eggs. You want to go straight into the big round can with them or square can with them. And just because the stomach was around the eggs does not mean you can't eat the stomach. We are absolutely going to be eating the belly meat of these fish. You just want to take off the membrane. This white membrane is a layer between the meat and the organs. So all you have to do is take off this white membrane, and you're going to be eating meat that never touched those organs. So it's completely safe as long as you take that white membrane off. So now that we've got the skin off and the guts out, all we've got to do is cut it off of this spine here. You got the center spine, you can even see where it starts. You're just gonna dip your knife right in there until you find that nice, strong backbone, and let that backbone guide your knife. Once you get down to the rib bones, you're gonna curve your knife and then start sliding around them. Now these bones are a little easier to cut through, so you don't want as hard of an angle down into those rib bones. See these bones right here? You wanna just be right on top of them without cutting through them. Push that meat away as you work down. And just like that, you've got your massive alligator gar fillet. This meat looks absolutely phenomenal. Look how translucent that is. It does not look muddy at all. Got a little bit of this dark meat on the back, but it's not thick at all. That dark meat layer is actually really thin. You can shave that off if you want, but we want to get to experience the full flavor of this fish. We're gonna get the other side off, then we're gonna cut the belly off. Again, your knife can be angled pretty hard towards that backbone. It is a nice, thick backbone, and you're not gonna cut through it easily. Then once you get to the tail, you wanna go all the way down until you find the beginning of those rib bones. Once you find the beginning of those rib bones, you're gonna twist your knife and start cutting out with those rib bones guiding your knife. Now we're resting our knife nice and gently on the rib bones. Whereas that backbone, you can push into it pretty hard. These rib bones, a little bit softer, easier to cut through. You don't wanna push through them too hard. All right, just like that. We got our second alligator gar fillet off. Absolutely monster fillets. This fish is such a treat to get to cut. Now we're gonna flip out the bellies. Those bellies were tucked in while we're filleting. That way they weren't in our way. Now we can flip them out, and cutting them off is gonna be really easy. You can feel the bottom of where those rib bones end. We're gonna puncture right there. Just gonna outline from the bottom of those rib bones out just like that. All we have left to do on this belly is cut that membrane off, and it's gonna be beautiful. We can trim off a little bit of this dark meat if you want. We'll show you what that looks like with it trimmed. All right, we're gonna pick up on that belly meat. Rib bones are right here. You can even kind of see them through that membrane. To the top of them, out just like that. Flip your knife around. Just like that, we got that whole belly meat off. Very easy. All right, we got the bellies, we got the loin. Let's go get it cooked up. Mark, what's your favorite way to cook alligator gar fillet?
I like to cut my alligator gar fillet in thin strips, not too thick, not too thin, and then I roll it in my favorite seafood batter mix. And then we deep fry it completely golden brown to perfection. No egg wash, none of that stuff. The less, the better, just to give it a little layer of crunch, and that's it.
And Mark never wastes the belly. How do you cook this,
Never.
brother?
All right, so as you can see, there's nothing different than the actual loin. The only thing that it has that layer that you were mentioning before. So you just remove that and you won't even tell the difference. Make it simple. The more you add, the less you're going to taste the actual fish. If you're a food person, you will understand what I mean.
The texture is kind of feels chickeny. I don't want to say tough, but let's see. Y'all, alligator gar, that's like the chicken of the sea. I feel like you could treat this any way you treat chicken, and it's gonna work out the same. Super mild, it's delicious. It's really unique. From here, go check out Mark's YouTube channel. That man is absolutely crushing it, and you guys will love his content. Thanks for watching, have a killer day.